I'm going to have someone lead us in O Canada, and her name is Anne, and she's a Haligonian, originally from London, Ontario, and an active member of the local freedom movement. When not singing in church, she is a director of digital assets for blockchain-based art collections. A recent member of the PPC, she is pleased to lead you in our national anthem. Come up, Anne. Please stand.
Oh, your beard tipped over. Oh, shoot.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our songs command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. There'll be more seats, I think. We did ask for more. It's great to see so many freedom-loving people in one place. Welcome, everyone. I'm Michelle Lindsay, Atlantic Lieutenant for Maxime Bernier, the leader of the PPC. For the past 2 years of lockdown, isolation mandates, and crushing tyranny have destroyed the hope of so many of our fellow Canadians. You, the people here tonight, have kept the candle of your hope alive. Someone once said, rebellions are built on hope. We rebel against the Liberal government's tyranny, and when we gather together, when we share our hope for a better Canada, we gain strength from each other. You can blow out a candle, but you can't blow out a fire. When our voices unite to cry out for freedom, our candles unite into a mighty flame that will spread across this great land and sweep all of our fellow Canadians along in a great democratic revolution that will change the destiny of Canada. Great forces are shifting in culture, in the media, in politics, and among the Canadian people. We have long felt the censorship, the radicalism, the Marxist agenda of dividing us against each other, growing stronger. That monopoly on the narrative is breaking up. Hundreds of millions of people across all the Western democracies are waking up to the reality that we have been lied to. They are looking for ways to learn the truth, to share the truth, and to live by that truth. A moment of change is upon us. It is in that moment that we meet tonight. We meet in agreement that democracy based on lies is not democracy at all.
Oh.
We meet to grow the movement of free, enlightened people seeking better potential for a popular movement. You will see people from all walks of life, from all political backgrounds, Canadian born and born abroad, united in this room. I say to you, Welcome to our companionship. Welcome to our party. Welcome to our freedom movement. And I say to you tonight, let us not forget there is hope, and hopefully my voice stays strong for tonight. So I would like to bring up the first speaker. And she has a story that we shall not forget. Because that's why we are here, because we never want her story to be repeated. Chelsea Sorosky. I pronounced her name wrong, but she can pronounce it.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Sowatsky. It's pretty close though. So, just before I start my speech today, I want to let you all know that I'm bound by a duty of loyalty according to the values and ethics code of my employer. So I have to be very careful with the way that I craft my words these days. So I want to tell you my story and what I've experienced in the last year or so. In the spring of 2021, it became clear that there were forces at play in the world that were intending to pressure vaccinations on individuals that were not willing to concede. Murmurs of pressure on individuals throughout many industries came to light, and their jobs were being threatened. My husband and I started to talk about what was going to happen, already knowing that my position was to stand against any illegal coercion. I read the laws in Canada over, and I was sure that I was in the right. The Immunization Act, the Human Rights Act, and the Charter would protect me, right? Plus, I have a union. They'll fight for me. That's why I pay them every month, right? In the summer of 2021, it became clearer every day that they were going to come down on me and my family. But at that time, I still had hope that the law would protect us in Canada. I was hearing through the media that employers were accepting medical and religious exemptions for the vaccine. I thought, how ridiculous that was, that any person needed to be exempt from injecting something into their bodies. This had to be illegal. I started to talk to my pastor, and he admitted to me that he was stressed, as he was convicted not to get the vaccine, and many others in the congregation were in the same position. Everyone on earth began to understand through the propaganda playing on our screens that we were becoming a target. Accusations against so-called anti-vaxxers were flying everywhere. It's their fault. They're so selfish, racist, misogynist. I told my pastor, no matter what happened, and no matter the consequences, that I would stand in my beliefs, and I did. I started to hear stories of people being denied religious accommodations coming out of everywhere. People were shocked to hear that their religious convictions weren't being protected, and they were being forced to either inject or lose their jobs or their homes, everything. I started hearing stories of doctors telling patients they couldn't write them a medical exemption or they would lose their jobs. The pressure was on, and my daily prayer was, God, give me the strength. Then the email came, the mandate. I had worked for this job for many years. In fact, I'd just recently been promoted to engineering manager. I'd struggled my way up from nothing just a few years earlier to this position. The gravity of it wasn't lost on me, and when I would talk to my mom, she could not believe that I was risking it all. She was forced to get the vaccine or lose her job. My dad is in a wheelchair and she takes care of him, and she couldn't afford to not have her job. She cried to me on the phone, and I felt anger building inside of me. But I knew that would get me nowhere. So I continued to pray to God for direction at that time. Sorry. Everyone that I worked with submitted their attestation of their vaccine status. I stayed silent. In every meeting there was a reminder, don't forget to submit your attestation. Then it became, there are 2 people that have not submitted their attestations. I was like, oh wow, I'm not alone. I easily figured out who it was, and I called his wife. Actually, he'd forgotten to fill it out. And yes, he was vaccinated. So, in fact, I was alone. That's right. I told his wife the truth. She admitted to me that she didn't want to get it, but she was pressured. It was at this time that my husband and I knew we had to sell our house. If we didn't, we risked foreclosing and losing everything if we lost half our income. We couldn't risk that with our children, so we started to look into moving in the middle of a housing crisis. So everything I looked at close to the city was gone instantly, with multiple offers way above asking price. We kept looking farther and farther out, and eventually we got far enough from the city in our search that we thought we can afford a house here without me working. Unfortunately, it's 2 hours from here. So we sold our house downtown as quickly as we possibly could. We packed so fast and packed everything, and we left. There was major stress when we had trouble closing on the new house. Were we going to be homeless after all of this? Thankfully, we did close at the last second. I waited until the last possible day to submit my attestation at work, and I submitted my religious exemption letter. In my letter, I simply stated my beliefs. My body is the temple of God. I believe that every part of our bodies are created by God, formed to work perfectly within nature, and I will not take an mRNA shot. This is against my beliefs. I believe that freedom of conscience is extremely important in the Christian faith, and I believe no person should feel compelled outside of their beliefs to accept anything that they feel is in contrary to their relationship with God. I submitted my affidavit notarized by a lawyer for my religious exemption, along with a letter from my pastor and a letter from a friendly doctor stating that I was at low risk of infection and I was safe to refuse the shot. He told me he had to be very careful or they would take his license. He told me he was considering leaving the country. Is this what we want healthcare to look like?
No.
My manager told me that he believed I was being sincere and that he would fight for me. Soon afterwards, he approached me. They found a speech that I'd made at a rally. I do that sometimes. In the speech, I said that according to the laws established in this country, that every person has the right to choose whether they receive a medical treatment or not. He asked if I agreed with everything that I said in the speech, and I said yes, or I wouldn't have said it. He said he had to think about whether my motives were political or religious. I told him, I have political beliefs and I have religious beliefs. He said that he didn't agree with my political beliefs, but he still believed that I was being sincere after watching the speech multiple times. He asked me, why do you even work here if your views are so different from the employer's? I didn't realize that only one perspective was allowed. I was a diligent employee and I went to work to do my job. I kept my personal opinions to myself, as any professional does in that environment. This process for my application for exemption was very invasive and uncomfortable for me and my manager to go through. There was weeks of back and forth on my accommodation request, meetings, letters, questions, and this was in the middle of our move way out to the country. Some days I would just break down from the stress. It was too much. But we were very happy when we arrived at our new home with the keys. We were safe. A month later, on December 23rd, 2021, I was placed on leave without pay, and I've been without an income ever since. If you ask many people, they'll say, why are you still fighting? The mandates, they're ended. I am here to tell you that the mandates have not ended. There are thousands of people still struggling, like me, without an income and unable to travel. One of them is my friend from prayer group. We meet from all over the country to pray twice a week. She has a severely disabled son, is a single mother, and she's now facing down the mandates by herself. Her resilience is inspiring in spite of all of the struggles that she faces in her life. Now, I'm not telling you this story so you can feel sorry for me. I don't need a pity party. What I want is a future in this country for my children. The reason I continue to fight is for them. And when will we stop fighting? Never. That's right. So we need a change in this country, obviously. This all needs to end, and not only that, there needs to be justice for the people who have went through all of this, that have struggled through this. Our laws in our country need to be upheld. So that's why I'm here today.
Isn't she amazing?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we bring Maxime on, we would like to acknowledge some of the people who have worked so diligently to put the tour together for Maxime in Halifax. And I'd just like to thank all the volunteers for your hard work. And I'd actually like you to come forward if you can. All the volunteers, please. Are you coming up? Are we missing anyone? Costa, come on up. I think there's more. I don't know if everyone's here, but this is what makes, the PPC possible at our events. So I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you.
We're grateful to you.
And I'd also like to acknowledge Morgan, come up here. I'm very grateful to this woman. She's a fighter. And I asked her, I said, can you put the call out? We need to have the people show up and show their support for the PPC, and she made that happen. So thank you very much. So Adrian, would you like to come up and explain a little bit?
Thank you, Michelle. So for those of you that aren't clear yet, Michelle is our regional lieutenant for the Atlantic provinces here. So she'll be working with our media response, PR, those types of things, making sure that we're working in tandem with the leadership. So if you have any media, local response that you're looking for, this is the lady to get in touch with, as well as the organizational side. So who am I? Adrian Jakowski, National Coordinator for the party. I'm here with Maxime on this tour. I'm only here to take 2 minutes to explain to you why the party's different organizationally and how it's operating and why you need to participate, right? So here's my pitch. So when Maxime says we're doing politics differently, it translates right into the internals of what we're doing. The regional association is the entity in your ridings that oversees all the activity, the donations that come in, the monetary aspects. Everything is building up from the ground up. It's based on you. You have a voice, but you have a voice only based on merit in our party. And what does that mean? It means that if you have an idea, show it to us. Bring your voice forward, be part of the association, get into the community. How is this going to change Canada when we get community back? Because politics has been disseminated and distilled to a point in our country where nothing is community. It's all messaging from the top down. This is what you have to think. We're not doing that. We're saying get involved in your community, talk to your neighbors, have those conversations, be part of it. Be part of the regional association with Paul back there, the CEO and president of the regional association. Raise your hands. There you go. Right. So this is where we have the voice. This is what we're doing, but it's building an organization based on merit. The media will have no power over this if in 2-3 years you reach your members and your neighbors, your family, those things. Then there's no more narrative to fight, because you know me, I know you. It's hard to lie and break relationship from a distance, okay? So I'm encouraging you, talk to Paul in the back, be a part of this, try to commit to something. If you can volunteer some of your time, it's not an election, we're not working at breakneck speed, but be part of it. We need you. You're the voice of the PPC, but we're gonna do this together properly. We're not gonna test dumb ideas and ideologies. We're gonna do it based on what your region is in need of, what the cultural differences are in your communities, and that's what we need to hear, is we need to hear your voice, okay? So please be part of it. Talk to Michelle, talk to Paul, get involved, and let's be part of this movement together, okay? So I'll send it back to Michelle. Thank you for your time, and I will, if you have any organizational questions, I will be in the back afterwards, but I'm not the important person. Thank you.
Has the convoy gotten here? No, not yet? Okay, there's supposed to be a convoy arriving, and they're supposed to be honking like mad right in front of here for Mad Max. Okay, so let me introduce Max. In critical moments of Western history, the need for political and social change has called out in the voice of a single courageous person before becoming a massive, powerful movement. Martin Luther nailed his thesis to the cathedral door. Rosa Parks sat in the front of the bus, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fanned that spark into the great flame of the civil rights movement. And in 2018, our leader, Maxime Bernier, founded the People's Party of Canada. The movement has grown stronger in the face of challenges to our civil liberties in the last 2 years, and the cries of the Canadian people for freedom have grown loud. We are fortunate to have the benefit of Maxime's experience as 3-time cabinet minister, including the portfolios of foreign affairs, industry, and state for small business, tourism, and agriculture. We are privileged to have him as our leader. We are blessed with the nation, society, and culture that our forebears have bequeathed us. We must carry forward the voices of Canadians and build our party on the ideals of liberty and personal freedom. Please welcome the Honorable Maxime Bernier.